Next week we finish the book of Bamidbar, and it's a fitting conclusion because next week on Erev Tisha we'll find ourselves in a Midbar, a no man's land. What am I talking about? I'm referring to the fact that we're in a strange situation because Shabbat is still happening when Tisha B'Av begins. When the sun goes down, Tisha B'Av starts, but Shabbat is really not over. So what do we do then? We can't eat, yet we can't start our day. We can't eat, yet we can't start a day of mourning either. So what is it that we were able to do? Probably the best thing to do is that we can learn some of the portions in the Tanakh that we're allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av, because that learning is permitted, yet we're not allowed to do anything that we would Chal Shabbat, which would desecrate the Shabbat. There's another problem that this brings on, and that's the prayer of Havdalah. What do we do with Havdalah on Saturday night when Tisha begins on a Saturday night? One of the things because the problem is, of course, we have to understand there are two different Havdalah. There's a Havdalah that allows you to do Malacha, allows you to do work, which we do in the Shemona Esrei, or if we don't do it in the Shemona Esrei, we say the Bracha Mavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol. The Havdalah on a cup permits us to eat, so we don't really do that on Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, Tisha B'Av, because eating is forbidden anyhow, and we can't, so that we know who's making the Havdalah. Not only that, but we can't drink wine on Shabbat, on the end of Shabbat as we go into Tisha B'Av. So what do we do about Havdalah? Really it comes in three parts. The first part we make is Saturday night, when we either in the Shemona Esrei say the Havdalah paragraph, or if one is not Daven Margaret, you can say Hamavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, Baruch Hamavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol. That allows the person to do Malacha before beginning the ceremonies of Tisha B'Av. The second part that's done is Sunday night, which is more interesting because what do? We only make Havdalah in a cup of wine. To understand why we do that and why we're allowed to do that, we have to really understand what the other symbols of Havdalah are that we leave out. Normally on a Saturday night we have three symbols of Havdalah. We have the kos, the cup, we have the basamim, the spices, and we have the ner Havdalah, the candle of Havdalah. At the end of Shabbat we smell the spices. And the reason for this, as part of the Havdalah ceremony, is to give consolation for losing the Neshama Yetera. Every Jew is blessed with an extra soul in Neshama Yetera on Shabbat. And on Motzei Shabbat, Shabbos ends, we give it up. But on Tisha B'Av, we don't want consolation. Then as Tisha B'Av begins, the most intense period of mourning, and we are not to console, even though there's nothing wrong with smelling something on Tisha B'Av. That benefit one is allowed. Still, it would be incongruous to begin a period of mourning by taking something that gives us consolation. What about the fire? There are two reasons we use fire, our candle, on Saturday night. One is that fire was discovered or created or invented, however you want to put it, on Motzei Shabbat. So to commemorate that, we use a fire, a candle, on Saturday night. On Tisha B'Av, there would be no point in that because there was no relationship between Tisha B'Av and the creation of fire. The second reason is it makes a distinction between Shabbat and the weekday. On Shabbat we're not allowed to use the fire, on a weekday we are. So on Tisha B'Av all day we're allowed to use the fire, so there would be no point in using a candle. What turns out is that we have the same Havdalah that we say on Motzei Tisha B'Av, is the same Havdalah we say on the end of Yom Tov. And our sages say when the temple is rebuilt that Tisha B'Av will be turned into a Yom Tov. So this may be the first symbol of the fact that it will be a Yom Tov. And next time that we have to make Havdalah on a Sunday night after Tisha B'Av, it will be making the end of a Yom Tov, not the end of a fast day. Can you hear it?